What's going on, everybody? Shonen Express here, coming to you with another weekly Shonen Jump newsletter. I'm super excited to get into this week, so let's just dive in. First of all, let's start with the cover page, as we always do. So this week, the cover went to Mashle, Magic, and Muscles, as is its 1-year anniversary. So just like Undead Unluck's 1-year anniversary was last week, this year it was Mashle. And again, it was a really good 1-year anniversary chapter, I think. The Divine Visionary games that are going on right now, I think, are interesting in themselves. But what I really want to focus on in this chapter, and what I really think, I actually probably would have highlighted this chapter even if it wasn't the cover page this week. But what I want to focus on is the amazing dynamic with Finn. I think that this was a really good moment, and it kind of gave me some feels for other things. But first of all, I do like this villain, Capriccio, I think his name is. Liu Yang or something. I don't know which one is his first name and which one's his last name, but I really like this villain. I think he's interesting. I like the whole, voodoo doll-esque kind of magic system where he, if he injures himself, he doesn't actually injure himself, it transfers to his opponent. I don't know how he links people. I think that would be very important in determining whether this magic is, super overpowered or not, but it was interesting to see nonetheless, and I'm always a fan of a villain who's you are so beneath me. We've seen it before, yes, but I do like it. It is intimidating, especially against a guy like Finn, who we know to not be that strong. And actually, you guys definitely correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong about this, but I don't actually believe that we've seen Finn's personal magic before. I think we've only seen him do kind of generic things in the past, and so it was kind of cool that we got to see that. I love that he kind of he says that dangerous thing and throw Capriccio off his trail so he could run away easier. And I think that's his personal magic, some kind of escaping thing, running away. I'm not totally sure, guys. Again, if you understood that better, leave it down in the comment section below. I'd love to see that. But as he's running away, he can't get away, and that's to be expected. But I love the tenacity and the grit, that I'll never give up the stone. Even though his life is on the line, he realizes that this is everything for Mash, and he's not going to let his friend down. I really love that. It brings back memories of, I don't know if you guys remember when Usopp fought Miss Merry Christmas and Mr. Four. Just this, standing in the face of overwhelming odds. And being able to do it because you trust and believe in your friend so much. And obviously we got to see that come to fruition. Mash comes back, another amazing, 2-page spread. Crazy good art of Mash just jamming Capriccio's head into the wall. It was a really good chapter. I love that 2-page spread. I always love when Mashle does stuff like that, but definitely this was a really good one and a very good payoff for the end of this chapter. Again, my main takeaway is Finn and how Finn stood up for Mash. I really liked that. It was a good chapter because of it. But moving on. There was nothing new in the magazine this week. There's also nothing that ended in the magazine this week, so kind of, ordinary week that way. On break was Black Clover, and this was actually a sudden break, I guess. It wasn't planned to be on break this week, but he was suddenly on break. I don't believe it was due to an illness, though. And again, if you guys know better than I do, leave it down in the comment section below, but I'm pretty sure it was just, for some reason, or production reasons rather, it was not able to come out this week, and so it was on break this week, which is alright. Black Clover's been amazing, so, we'll give it a pass, but definitely, Tabata is okay, I guess. He just is a little behind schedule, so, that's why I was on break. And there was nothing special in the magazine, despite I did think that the specials were supposed to start running this week, and it could be that they are, and we're just not getting them in the Viz, the regular Viz manga, but I definitely thought that they were supposed to start running, that this whole, campaign of, new one-shots was supposed to start happening this week, but we didn't get that, and we didn't get a one-shot. And so, that's okay, but it could very possibly be that we'll never get the one-shots in English, which would be a bummer, because I like stuff like that. I like seeing one-shots and all that stuff, but we'll see as time goes if we get that or not. But that brings me to my highlights. So the first manga I gotta highlight this week is One Piece. Now, I haven't highlighted One Piece for, I guess, 2 weeks because it was on break. And then I didn't highlight the chapter before. Yeah, so like 2 weeks, which is kind of unusual. But this chapter needed to be highlighted for one reason only. And there's probably several things I could talk about, but I love what this chapter did. I think that this is some really interesting and cool character building and shows just this trust that I really, really love. So, Black Maria is trying to get Nico Robin, right? She's trying to capture Nico Robin, so she's beating Sanji, telling Sanji to, like, ask for help, and of course we're thinking, he'll never do that. He'll never, like, that's like selling out Robin. He would never, ever do that. But then Sanji does. He does exclaim for help, ask Robin to help him, which I thought was amazing. We get to see the reactions of a lot of other people and how they react to this. But then Robin shows up with that, spank attack on Black Maria. It was in a really cool way. And Brook shows up with her, which was also cool. I like that, using his ice powers to kind of break those webs. But Robin comes in, and Robin has this little quote. She was like, "Thanks for trusting me with this," and I loved that. I think that what this goes to, right, is not Sanji's, like, trying to, like, get out of it, because I mean, I guess in a way he is, but, like, he's not running from this problem. He is embracing the challenge by calling his teammate, and this goes all the way back to something I think Luffy said to Arlong way back in the East Blue in Arlong Park, right, where he's like, he goes through the things. He's like, I can't cook, I can't snipe, I can't wield swords, I can't navigate, I need my crewmates to do these things for me. And so I think this is the extension of that. The Straw Pirates are a crew, and they're gonna have to handle challenges differently depending on the different members, and this is obviously a challenge that Sanji was not gonna be able to win. He doesn't fight women, and so this was a terrible matchup for him, and so he had to call in Robin, who he believes in as a crewmate. And I thought it showed a lot of trust in Robin, and on top of that, I think that it shows some nuance in Sanji that I don't know that we get to see a whole lot, that I really like to see. And of course, then also I really liked, we get to the end there, and in Black Maria's hand is this, like, fire wheel thing that reminds me so much of this traditional yokai. I have so many questions on what that is. Is that like an item that ate a devil fruit somehow, and that's why it looks like that? I'm so interested. I love Oda's little, decorations of traditional Japanese Shinto things all throughout Wano, but that was another one that I really like to see, and that's the last kind of thing I had for One Piece. So we'll go on. The next one I want to highlight this week is Jujutsu Kaisen. Another really good Jujutsu Kaisen chapter. Obviously, we're getting more with Okotsu as he's back to fight, but I really loved the stuff with, like, these four guys are in an arena together, right? I've already forgotten the Zenin clan leader, like, name. Naohyo, something like that. But he's like trying to reason with Okotsu. He's like, hey, I want Yuji dead too. We don't need to like be enemies here. We can be on the same side. And like Okotsu goes after Yuji, oh man, now I'm forgetting the other guy's name. But Tsukasa, I think, goes and stays to fight the Zenin clan guy. Obviously, looking pretty outmaneuvered against the Zenin clan guy, but most of this chapter is focused on Yuji and Okotsu's fight, which I think is super interesting, because it points out the differences in these two, right? Okotsu says that he's kind of physically weak, actually, and that it's his amount of cursed energy that actually helps him fight, because he has a ton of cursed energy, I guess. So supposedly he has more than even Satoru Gojo, but what Satoru Gojo has is the 6 eyes, which allows him to nearly not like expend any cursed energy at all when he does his attacks. So that's kind of the difference between the two, and why maybe you might give an edge. I would give an edge to Gojo in a fight against Okotsu, is because Gojo uses almost no cursed energy, but Okotsu has like an immense amount to begin with. But so I like learning that about the world, and that's really what I wanted to highlight this chapter, is learning a little bit more about cursed energy and this power system that I think is very, very cool. But on top of that, I love that Yuji is not ready to go down. He's going to keep fighting, and that's something that I love to see. So I was very excited to see it this week. But next on my list, I want to highlight Nine Dragons Ball Parade. So Chapter 3 came out. I didn't highlight it last week, but I did want to highlight it again because it's doing some things that I think will help it as a sports manga, and things that I was hoping it was going to do. So we've got the whole story with Karine, right, in this chapter, and so she's going for this Koku Ryuzan, I believe is the name of the school, right? She wants Azu and Ryudo to play for this school, right? And so we get to see the school, and it's like an old school, but it has this pristine field. I love the stuff with Karine and how she like cleaned up the field. That was so cool. It showed up, a care for this that's unusual, obviously. But what I really like is that the team manager, which is what I assume her role will be when there's an actual baseball team here and we start playing games. She is so dedicated to this team and so I really like that. I think it's good for the series. I think she's an interesting character that is a good addition to this series. And then I love how like Ryudo lets Azu like kind of come to the conclusion like we can do it here, we can build it here. And then when Azu finally realizes how they're going to build this good team, that they're going to collect these players that are unorthodox, they're gone for some reason or they were suspended from something, he's going to collect these players that are good but that traditional schools won't take in to create the Nine Dragons again. Oh, and let's go back to that. This is where the title of the show comes in. So we're definitely going to get the Nine Dragons, right? But this is where the title of the show comes in, Nine Dragons Ball Parade, from the Nine Dragons of the school that used to compete with Hakuo. Obviously the school that Azu wanted to get in before. So I'm super excited to see them collect the team. I love that we already have a roster there, and I'm sure next chapter we're going to get going on finding other teammates. But this is what I wanted. I wanted to collect a team like this. We're going to find a team, presumably, we have, what would that be? 7 members to go, because we've got Azu and Ryudo as probably 1 and 2. But so we have 7 other people to collect, and so if we do, one a chapter, that's, that'll get us to chapter, what would that be, 10, right? So by chapter 10, we might have a full team and start practicing and stuff. This is the way that I wanted this series to go, and so I had to highlight it because it was going in a direction that I found very favorable for a sports manga. And again, I think I'm just starved for sports manga in the magazine. I really have high hopes for Nine Dragons Ball Parade, and so I had to highlight it here. But moving on, I want to talk about Build King. This is a series I don't get to highlight that much. I don't, it doesn't do a whole lot that makes me want to highlight it. And honestly, this week, I want to highlight it, but almost for interesting reasons, and we'll get there. So first of all, I like that we learn more about the vigor, using vigor. I think that it's an interesting power system. But my main through line for this chapter is this series has just become Toriko with building. And that's pretty clear throughout the whole thing. And listen, I'm a Toriko fan. I think Toriko's a good manga, even a great manga even. I haven't ranked it yet, but, maybe someday we'll get to Toriko. That's a pretty big one. Who knows? But I think Toriko's a really good manga, so I like that. But at the same time, I don't think it bodes well for the continuation of Build King. Because it's not different enough from Toriko. And listen, let's do Toriko again with building. I'm fine with that. But it is very similar. The whole vigor thing reminds me of this food, what would they call it? Food etiquette or something? Food appetite. Appetite, that's what they called it. The energy that they used in Toriko. And, it's cool. I like it. And I like learning about it. But at the same time, you see what I'm saying. It's kind of very, very similar to Toriko. But getting into kind of the bridge building and stuff like that, I think it's interesting that it seems as if the main point of this exercise is simply to cross the canyon, not necessarily to make a bridge that others can cross the canyon with. Because we see the one, the ninja guy, like, Shinzo, is that his name? I'm not sure. But we see him, like, throw the star and make that wire that he can walk across, obviously, but I highly doubt anyone else is skilled enough to do that. And so it seems like the point of the exercise is just to get across the canyon, in which case my guess is that Tonkatchi will just make the vigor hammer grow and shoot himself over to the other side. Which he already kind of said, but they kind of dismissed it. Maybe he'll just make it grow enough that he can cross it. I don't know if he can do that, but the vigor hammer lengthening is going to come into play here. But so there's this guy who's in the exam, and he looks identical to one of the villains in Toriko. And I don't remember this villain's name at all, but he was like this mosquito guy when they were doing bug things. I don't know if you guys remember, if you've even read Toriko. But he's clearly just evil. He's like, weaklings shouldn't exist. And, you know, okay, but like, maybe give me a little more than weaklings shouldn't exist, you know? So, he's like I said, he's okay. He's just not my favorite. You know, hey, maybe he'll turn into something else. But again, the similarities to Toriko abound even more. On top of that, we get the stuff, you know, with these giant Preda spiders, I think they called them. They look disgusting. Those things scare the heck out of me. What is going on with mangaka drawing giant spiders right now in Shonen Jump? But we got Black Maria, now we got these giant spiders. I don't love it, but I think they look so goofy and so disgusting that it really gets across the message that I should be scared, but like a little interested. And so I'm interested to see what Shinzu does in this situation. I'm interested to see where we go from here, but I had to highlight it because, again, it's a giant monster that's standing as an obstacle to what our goal is, to finding the food or building the bridge. And so again, Build King is just Toriko with buildings. And I'm here for it. But it's probably not going to get highlighted too much because it's just Toriko with buildings. But that brings us to my last manga I want to highlight this week, which was Magu-chan, God of Destruction. I am a big Magu-chan fan. I like this manga. I think it's very heartwarming and very nice, but this chapter had to be highlighted for different reasons. First of all, we start off with the usual hijinks. They won a lottery, and now they're at a ski resort. That's funny. I like that, but it quickly turns kind of ominous when we meet that little kid. And so it feels ominous to me when she meets him, and he's like, the weather changes quickly on the mountain, so you're gonna want to get down. That was kind of alarming. I'll be honest with you when we first saw him, but then to find out later that he is one of the beings like Magu-chan and Yuneris and Naputaku, but that he's retained some kind of like humanish form. I'm super interested in him, and it seems like this is the guy who's been working behind the scenes the whole time to release, like Zonzage of Despair and I forget the crab one's name already, but it seems like he's the guy that's been working to do all of that, and so I'm so interested to see what he's about, what he's going to do. I think it's very possible that he literally does just want to be friends, and we can continue on that path, but I would be very interested to see if this is actually going to cause a problem that we have to solve. I'd be super interested in that, but I had to highlight it this week because actual development in Magu-chan is kind of rare, so I wanted to highlight it for sure. But hey guys, that's all I got this week. Thanks so much for listening to this video. If you've got anything to say, leave it down in the comment section. I'd love to talk with you down there about anything Weekly Shonen Jump or manga related at all. Definitely be on the lookout for my whole package review of Naruto that's going to be coming out later this week for sure, so be on the lookout for that video. I put a lot of work into that, so I'm very, very excited to put that one out. And be on the lookout for the Pillow Fort podcast. We didn't have an episode this week, just due some scheduling issues with the cast there, but we will most likely be back next week for the next arc, the King of Paradise arc of the Promised Neverland. So definitely get on board with us there. But like I said, thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe if you liked anything I had to say, and this is Shonen Express signing off.